on the team. On the other hand, for Weibo Gaming, it has been Ezreal that has been the flex player. A lot of 4-cost different compositions, a lot of win outs. Even though there's 3-game wins from Honglian, he actually has the best AVP.
Yeah, I want to see that trust that we've been talking about because, as you were saying, you could have Golden Quest as a possibility, and but the team needs to give you permission for go according to that. So 3-cost champion, we're starting small, low variance, and let's see if someone can get something interesting to pop it off in the beginning.
I like that there's no prismatic parties. We heard so many complaints like the prismatic elements, not so balanced so far.
I'm the carry now. You're not a fan at 2-1. I think it's a very strong option, but won't be the case. Potentially it will be, but for now, just a 3-cost champion. One thing I want to make note of before this series really unfolds is the momentum for each team. Vitality, they haven't really had any hitches on their journey to make it to this quarterfinals up until now. They smurfed through the competition to make it here, looked absolutely dominant thanks to their, I think, stellar preparation across the first few weeks of this set 12. For Weibo Gaming, they had to play this morning. They did dominate Z10. I think they played in a way where they got that extra bit of experience and maybe, inertia on the day, and that could maybe tip the scales in their favor.
They definitely had fun in that first series. There was a blowout win in Game 2, and like you mentioned, someone got to have the Morgana 3 on our board, the first legendary champion of the tournament.
Yeah, also Vitality, it's good to see that even though they went to 0 and you obviously amazing, they anticipated. So when they saw you, they knew or they actually were willing to predict for themselves that 2-0 guideline. So it's good to see the confidence. It will be interesting to see if they get a loss, how will they remain with that confidence? Absolutely.
Honglian holding on to a few units that look familiar from the last game that he did play into that Zoe Scholars line, which is really an Ahri Scholars line, as we saw at the very late stage of the game. All in all, in this first stage, there's really only 4 sets of units being held for the most part. The units that fit into the Multi-Striker line, into the Syndra line with the Vanguards, into the Portal line, one of the strongest openers in the game, as well as the Honeymancer units that fit into Kog'Maw reroll.
Ooh, a bit of a low roll here on
reroll.
the 3 augments. So it's going to have to play with the tempo game plan right here, going for sleight of hand.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's like tempo, but you don't have the unit still. He has the pairs. He could have the Vex also as a possibility for the front line. Not the best beginning, but at least he's a little plan. So he might be the rock for the comp, but actually not the best beginning for him. Remember, you want to go for full win streak, for lose streak, or at least someone in your team has to get the role.
This could be the Karma Flex play already. Has a chance to slam a blue buff onto the Zoe if he chooses to, and has an open Rot or maybe a Morello in the future. That being said, maybe wants to stay open to still playing Syndra, depending on what the next few shops give him. He is, as you mentioned, playing an augment that you want to win streak with the Band of Thieves, so maybe forced to slam here all of his components.
This is pretty obscene from Milk. This is probably the best 2-1 flexible that we've seen so far. Incanter coming out. A little bit of a Mage Warwick action happening.
Yeah, Encounter is amazing. We haven't seen it, obviously. Maybe in tempo is better, Clement. I don't know if you like it more reroll. Obviously, if you can reroll this in there, you will do it every time. But normally you want to get the cap with 4 Encounters. The power is so strong, and that burst of AP is actually so helpful for the rest of the units also.
One of the best augments on 2-1 in the tournament so far. I've been keeping a look at the stat and it's averaging a 3.8. So a lot of players going for this. It typically, as you said, goes to level 8 and level 9 when you cap out with a lot of different emblems.
For Toronto Tokyo, reroll most definitely not on the card with his augment pickup. His mind is clear. Hopefully his team's is as well. Has a Kassadin pair but can't hold on to it just yet. And cannot really make gold either, really depending on the win streak here, ideally to have that combination of both the level tempo and the win streak gold to potentially go for a fast 8, fast 9 strategy and become that very scary, flexible player that can play the things like the Karma, the Fiora, and the Kalista in stage 4 and 5.
Yeah, 100% with that lose streak, that it will be amazing, and that ramp up will be great. Also, someone who's going for that tempo play is Kessie, now losing. And we have also a possibility of scaling here with the learning to spell. So additional damage that will be funneling out very into the late game. So even though maybe the early game doesn't look very aggressive, so much tempo in the early game, the late game will be highly scaling for everyone.
Block Blossoming Lotus being selected here by Kudzen. Also your favorite composition showing up on the board already.
Not just my favorite, his favorite as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case because the last game against Z10, I believe it was a 14-win streak before he ended up losing somewhere in stage 5. So just, I think, a player that understands to perfection what this comp is all about. Preserving HP in a team game mode is so important because if the other team reaches these incredible high caps, if they're too low HP, it does not matter.
You might want to call this guy your master because so far in the tournament, he's been averaging a 2.0 on multi-strikers, the Kassadin caller.
You were talking about multi-striker, David, and I saw you play multi-striker more than one time. So can you tell us, obviously, you already said you need tempo in the early game, you need that Kassadin 2 with perfect items, maybe on 3-2, but then what is the cap out? Do you need the Kalista, do you go level 9, or do you only want to preserve HP and go top 4?
That's the most important part. I think you're never really expecting to win a game with Kassadin.
Okay.
I think you use too much gold to obviously get the 3 stars, and by the time you get to the late game, Kassadin being kind of a single target 1-by-1 champion, he just has a hard time killing these crazy boards, especially when CC comes in after the QSS expires if you've built it in the first place. One way to do it, which maybe is a bit memey, but it is building into the Smolder line with a Pyro and a multi-striker emblem, of course, very rare to set up.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Smolder. That seems like a very interesting line to look out. I'm looking at which players have the most potential for win outs on each side, and honestly, I feel like there's a lot of high-cost compositions coming out on the side of Vitality. You have the Clear Mind coming in. You have Flexible already. So this is going to be a very slow tempo composition, slow tempo game.
Yeah, we can even take what?
This is a crazy spot. Clear Mind, 3-win streak with what looks like a pretty strong board here as well.
Yeah, I want to also take a time here to get some nomenclature together with the 3 of us. So we already know the one who goes for the win out is the hero. We're good with that, right?
Okay.
We agree. Okay. The ones who are in the middle pack are the rocks. They're not going 8. And who's the one that doesn't go 8 and goes 7?
They're called the Here We Goes.
Is there a name? Because we already have the name for the
support,
top 1,
the support
2, and 3.
player.
Okay.
The support, or
you like support?
Or Ratman mode, the griefer, the one that's holding 7 Kassadins despite not playing a single one on his bench, or Cogmods are interchangeable.
Ooh, okay. Toronto loses his streak to teammate Soju, who's playing a very a Knockman we don't see all that much. The extra steric Scage that gives you attack speed and immunity from crowd control.
Yeah, and that's all, He has so many games into it. Normally people, maybe in that, he was saying, people in the chat maybe meme him a lot, but the amount of game that he has are capable of him of recognizing spots that are very specific. So even though this augment, we haven't seen it so far, as you mentioned, Clement, it has a spot to be played, and we will now see it on hands on Soju.
It's very strong, of course, on Fiora. If you make it to that point, that red buff could go on Karma later on as well. Could be another flexible player on Vitality. We've seen the pitfalls of playing too flexibly. If all 3 or 4 players are playing for 4 costs, there's only so many in the pool. You make it so you're contesting your 4 costs despite not being on reroll into hitting those 2 stars and finding stability in stage 4. As we know, a Fiora 1 is very different to a Fiora 2 with these items.
Yeah, and then you need to cap up maybe level 9, go pre-server, and it's not easy to get there. But if you get there, we saw the data, Clement, you were just realizing that and giving it to us. And Warrior Preserver is actually a great comp if you get there and you actually finish and are able to balance and get it into the late game.
What an insane stage 2. 4 full streaks still intact, 2 apiece on each team. You could not ask for anything better to go in and establish that foundation for these teams.
We wanted to make a visual representation of our naming convention. There you have it. The win-outs, the rock.
That and give it to us. And Warrior Preserver is actually a great comp if you get there and you actually finish and are able to balance and get it into the late game.
What an insane stage 2. 4 full streaks still intact, 2 apiece on each team. You could not ask for anything better to go in and establish that foundation for these teams.
We wanted to make a visual representation of our naming convention. There you have it. The win-outs, the rocks, and the supports.
That's perfect. The winners, no, the rocks.
The hero, sorry. Right,
okay.
right.
We're heroes, win out, the rocks in the middle, and support.
You guys
now
don't like my trash man one? I kind of like
it's a bit too
much?
too visceral.
Oh, okay. Support.
We have to keep it, tone it down a tiny bit.
All right. Sure.
Support is like a feeling of helping, of being there for your teammates.
Now flexibility here for Milk. Let's see what is the next that he gets.
Ooh.
Okay, shapeshifter.
It's in the same line.
Is this handpicked? Did I miss something about this augment? Do you get to choose from a tome of traits? Is that how it works?
I mean,
Milk
the
does
Swain
have a
already.
line to Morkdog, and it's up to Morkdog if he answers or not.
Well, he answered about the emblems, maybe not so much about the components. They don't look too great for Syndra. Has the single Shojin Slam, but not much else going on. Just half components for what could be an Asher's later on.
So you're still keeping up the tempo. Maybe we'll see a slam. He's waiting to see who he's up against and maybe taking the decision in the last moment. He has two possibilities there, and there it is. He goes for the slam, goes for the full tempo, going up here against Kessie. Let's see if it's enough.
I do want to say this line looks a lot like a Frost Hunter's line. The items, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but you know, the items do fit. You know, the really good Varus items, very good Olaf items.
Before the Syndra epidemic began a few days ago, these items would scream to me, it's Karma Flex. You have items for Fiora, you have a Redemption for your tank, you have a red buff for Karma as well, who's so good at spreading that anti-heal onto so many units in that stage 4.
Yeah, I would love to see the Olaf performing Clement, but we saw it yesterday in Michael's hand, even with a perfect armor for him. It was an 8th in the perfect spot, so I really don't think we'll see it, but I want to be surprised.
It's going to be a dramatic ticket. This could lean into a Shapeshifter Syndra game without really caring what your final emblem will be at stage 4-1, because by that time you've maybe already hit a lot of your upgrades and you have obviously a very solid game plan in playing for that Syndra reroll. If you're not playing for the Syndra 3, at the very least you're making it that much more difficult for anyone to hit, but a Karma has been found early in 3-2. Units have been sold and the board is starting to shape up.
Yeah, just looking for that Syndra 2. Where is it? If he gets that, he can turn it into a win streak.
Oh,
and we have to remember, he does need to make use of that learning to spell. Full loss streak learning to spell, not exactly getting the most value out of the augment.
Yeah, and this is what's happening. He got the front line, so it's great. That will give him enough time for the Syndra to cast a lot, start making those stacks that are so important. But as you said, Clement, even though he has the Karma, he's fine, but he needs the Syndra 2. Syndra 2 is amazing here, it's total stabilization, and then he can decide to go 8th and do whatever he wants. If he doesn't have the Syndra 2, he cannot decide. He will have to stay here until the stabilization ends and then make a new game plan.
For Milk, we're seeing there, he has the Mana Zane off of the Spellcaster's toolbox. That means that there's one player on Syndra with a very good projection and very good items. On the flip side, we have Setsuko here, who has maybe not the best items just yet, only the adaptive right now, but a lot of frontline upgrades on the Vanguard and the ticket to hit all of his upgrades later on.
Big win streak fight between Easy and Soju, and it's going to come out on Soju's way. Unorthodox early game. We really haven't seen much of these augments being selected, but it works out, and there's only one streak on the board now.
Yeah, it looks very good. Maybe it's not a table that will win on stage 4, but as you said, he maintains the win streak, he's pressuring the rest of the lobby, preserving so much HP, and being maybe the possibility of being the Rock. Maybe he will not cap out as the hero, as the best player of the team, but he actually will be able to preserve that HP and maybe funnel it out to the rest of the players and of the team when it's needed.
Gonna have an easier time hitting his upgrades as well, thanks to the new recruit, thanks to the extra duplicator he has on his bench right now, and really, truly flex play here from Soju, fitting a Namzi on his board, a unit that a lot of players maybe don't even purchase because he just hasn't been really the star of the early stages in stage 2 and 3. In this case, perfect with the Jinx, helping get these initial kills, the takedowns especially for Jinx to get that attack speed.
Yeah, normally 2 dragons, maybe we see it in the early game because you don't have something to cut to wound, to cut the healing of the enemy, but actually not a trait that is performing right now. So obviously transition, getting good tempo here.
I just want to say, I'm a Namzi believer. Namzi is a beast. The rest of the Hunter line, maybe not so much, but I think
And dragons,
Namzi's really
do you like
good.
dragons, Clement?
Huh?
Dragons, like 3 dragons?
Yeah.
2 dragons?
Dragonlance,
Awesome.
you know,
Yeah.
CN1, you know, so
Okay.
I'm a big fan of that.
Item components, so important here for the Syndra players in particular. Setsuko goes for a glove, interestingly enough, considering that he did only have that adaptive onto the Syndra. Maybe you tell he's not playing for Syndra reroll, instead going to try and go tempo, but he has to take it, so I think he has to at this point in time. Just
Hansi
favoring the
with the
item
Olaf,
onto
so
the
maybe-
Mordekaiser for now, it seems like, is steadfast.
Yeah, Hansi with the Olaf, maybe going into deep on the Hunter line there with the Tristana as a possibility. And now here, blue buff, only 1 cost, Zoe 1 star, holding some Syndras here. So not the best position for him. He should start losing here, but he has to he's preserving speed thanks to his helmet. So another position on the right, Hansi going with the Tristana. Also, the carry is not 2-star yet.
A lot of Olafs finally appearing on the board, just what I want to see. You know, typically scoreboard has been played into the Preserver Warrior lines. We're just going to see if that's the case. And for Hongdian, what everyone wanted, the hero win out. He has Tinny Titans. He can start his Hongdian lose streak. And we see the Magician at work already.
And Keza could maybe start his Keza win streak in stage 3 once again on the Cassian line. This time has picked up a very strong combat strength augment. I am the carry now. The support golem with insane items, and the Cassian as well. The BT, the Rage Blade, only missing the QSS from the traditional BIS. That could help propel Kezi up into the HP standing leaderboard.
Yeah, he also found the Kalista, so that vertical of multi-striker is great for him. And Soju maintaining his win streak, 8 win streak. It will be very huge for him to maintain it one more time. Those will be 2 rounds with additional economy. And as we know, this economy is not to go to level 9, is to roll an 8 and be able to find anything that your opponent needs, keep it up, and obviously help your team in another way.
Obviously, Soju is no stranger to the Preserver Warrior line. We did see him go 8th on the very fast Gwen coming out of his way, out of nowhere, but I think he can avoid that pitfall, just go for a straight Preserver Warrior. He's got all the items set up.
Could have considered a small role for a Charm here to try and have some more combat strength power, but depending on his matchup pool, maybe not needed. Setsuko will be the opponent in the end, and in this case, Setsuko with a guard break and adaptive help onto a Syndra, probably not quite strong enough considering that Soju has been so dominant in the early 2 stages of this game. The 10 win streak should be locked in at this point. A lot of extra gold to make it to 8 and to have the gold to maybe almost guarantee the upgrades on the Fiora, on the Karma, on the Rakan, the Nactis, especially with a duplicator.
Yeah, Setsuko here killing some units. It shouldn't be enough, but that's exactly what they want. They want Soju to win with the less amount of units possible.
Perfect.
Let's see here. Scaling, but...
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Perfect win for both of them. So now Setsuko will need to preserve HP according to in round 4. And of course he's scaling, so he's in a good position, but he has the Prismatic Ticker and he's still very far. So he's actually trapped now on level 6.
Huge find here with the natural karmas. And what is up with karmas today? Free Incanter emblems, karmas across the boards for Vitality. Just to seem like, you know, the favorite 4-cost in the meta, showing up huge for the side of Americas.
Nami as well was there for Toronto Tokyo. Support Golem going to be the pickup here with the Randuins and the Moonlight for Easy. A strong tempo play from so many players. They seem to be foregoing the reroll line, potentially playing Syndra in the tempo option instead. But for Milk, very clearly playing for Karma here. Mana Zane, Shojin, a lot of mana generation thanks to that Spellcaster's Toolbox. And the Zonya's coming in as well. The next emblem is Honeymancers, a little bit more awkward to fit and make good use of in the late game outside of the Kog'Maw reroll.
Yeah, maybe impossible to fit it in, but he already got 2 emblems that are amazing for him. And now stabilizing once again, going for the Karma tempo. And on the right, we got Toronto with the Rise 2. So great for him for tempo. It's not a unit that we're seeing as a possibility of prioritizing it, but if you get it, it's very good in this moment of the game.
I think Fnatic on the analyst desk is going to be proud. This is the line that they kind of pioneered. We saw Milala playing actually a lot of 6 Portal and just be that sort of rock player we were talking about in the middle of the pack.
And look at this spot from Milk as well. Has 3 levels, staying above 50 to level to 8 now, and already has 1 copy of Fiora, a copy of Nasus, and a copy of Karma with 3 items. I have to imagine it's almost impossible for his roll down to miss entirely with the amount of gold he has. Will be one of the most stable and strongest players throughout the entirety of the stage 4, especially if he picks up a strong augment.
Yeah, we're seeing fast decisions here because they need to roll. Everyone needs to roll now. As you were saying, David, this is a fight for the 4 cost on everywhere. That's the change for the Karma to give you good units. Skips the Swain, wants to go for another front line to maybe make the switch. He knows the Swain 3 will not be a possibility. There's the Fiora 2. So now there's the balance, the stabilization. So Karma, Fiora, online here for Milk. Very good. It needs a little front line. Maybe that Nasus 2 will be the difference. And on the left, we get the Morgana for Soju. So great news now for Team Vitality.
Really hit on all the 5 costs that he wanted. The Morgana and the Zera still being kept around here. And we know he's just looking to pivot into that sort of warrior board with the Sterix Gauge and the CC immunity that you can get from that. Unfortunately, not really hitting on the Fiora just yet, but actually a lot of times if you have the Camille or the Briar, you can skip that Fiora completely.
especially when your teammate is going for the 4-cost line instead. We saw Milk already having the Fiora 2, the Karma 2. Milk we saw rolling very deep there despite hitting the reinforcement Karma early on and the Fiora early in the roll as well. And I think that's a big factor of the 4v4 game mode where health matters so much. You're not playing for that very risky go fast 9 style, especially not with charms in the mix.
Yeah, and normally in this spot, so you should have lost the win streak, but he maintained 30 gold on level 8. And this is great news. He's actually popping off, winning here again, easy, avoiding the Syndras from stacking more. And again, good space now for Vitality. They will need to ramp up. As we know, Soju will not be the player that will win the lobby, but that HP will give him so much chance to do anything he wants in the later game.
I'm just looking at the gold spent counter, and Soju has at least 50 extra gold over his teammate, like Setsuko. So that win streak showing up big. The big question for me is who is going to be that win-out player on the side to contest for Weibo?
Setsuko waits on the big roll down until after all his teammates who are using Syndra as a tempo option have already sold her off. The Mordekaiser upgrades come through. Setsuko has to stop the bleeding. You don't want to go 8th in this game in particular. And right now there's 3 players from Vitality in the bottom 4 with only Soju playing that hero mode at the very top of the HP standings.
Yeah, and we saw Hanley just recently holding Nasus because as we saw, that's the only thing that's infusing the rest of the team of Vitality to get the ramp up directly. And now also holding up here Setsuko those Cassadins to avoid the ramp up from Weibo. And now we're seeing the split screen Toronto going up against. The pop is still popping up. The pop is doing good damage, still the change hasn't been done.
Man, Poppy 1 is just such an amazing unit here. Unfortunately for Setsuko, I think he knows that this is probably not going to be his game, holding on to units instead of acquiring additional interest. So, you know, I think Vitality have a very clear game plan. Everyone make sure Soju wins. The rest of the players just drag the Weibo Gaming players down.
You know, the Camille Knot for Setsuko, a great unit for pairing with the Karma and getting some chrono action in.
And Keze, I believe, has picked up the bow, it looks like, with an open spatula. Could lean into the Pyro line alongside the multi-strikers. Has not today as well as his last augment pickup. And for Hunching, also has a spatula, has a BF sword here as well. Morgana pair on the bench. This board is just a few upgrades away from becoming very, very strong.
We have to look at the PvE round. I think most likely Witchcraft is the line we expect most with the spatula, given his current board. And on the other hand, you mentioned it with the Pyro line on the Callista, a very strong win-out condition. I love this game because this game, everyone is going for the max cap.
And differently from the West, we're seeing from CN a lot more Callista flex being played on the 4-cost roll down. That's the case here as well with the Rage Blade and the Last Whisper. Not surprising considering the Rage Blade is built so often in the early stages is one of the outs that you can still take if you got the tempo out instead of reroll.
Yeah, we'll have to see who will be the win-out player here. Milk also going for a tempo out here to ensure that he gets that Nasus 2 and he gets it, obviously. So now his comp is amazing. He will be lacking a combat augment in the end, so the later stages for him will not be great. But they are punishing the lobby right now and maintaining great tempo, Clement.
This could be a huge swing in the game. If Hanxing manages to survive another round and get into the PvE round, he could find all of the upgrades he needs. But instead, if he's knocked out, that's 8th place and already, no matter what, a point down for Weibo.
Soju continues rolling here on 8. It's the name of the game when it comes to the current meta, mostly for the charms, but also for these 4-cost upgrades like he has just picked up for that Tahm Kench, adding some extra bit of CC to this board as well, but also, of course, the tankiness of a Vanguard unit.
Okay, no Syndra, but Galio 3 here for Setsuko, huge, giving him more additional time. He only needs 1 additional Syndra, so he's actually very, very capable of popping off. Low HP, but he could be the win-out player, but he needs to hit now. Next round is maybe the last one.
At least 8 player damage being taken right here. Hanxing does have a small chance of just falling down. In the meantime, Setsuko, can he be kept alive on this board? Still no Callista 2 on the side of Hanxing, and he's rotating into a very strong Kudzu.
So the Callista is going to be doing enough alongside the Fiora down on the Pyro. Callista on the opposite side. Hanxing stays alive. Soju, will he cut this loss streak and come back to his win-streaking ways? It's going to be a close fight, but the CC from the Galio of all units comes in clutch, wins the fight for Setsuko, and I think that's a win that's more important for Setsuko than for Soju, considering the HP looked at in a total way, not just individually. This is a team game after all.
Both teams getting exactly what they want in this situation here, just keeping their bottom of the board alive and having the capability to cap out, especially for Setsuko, like Hupe-san was mentioning. That comp, if he gets the Syndra 3, could still go into the top 3s.
Yeah, now this spot for Hong Lian is not good. He has the Karma 1. He doesn't have the front line also upgraded to 2-star. He finds the Briar, but it's not enough. She needs to funnel too much damage to make it work.
And we're seeing from Hong Lian kind of an all-or-nothing playstyle coming in. Potentially a level 9, potentially a massive roll down. If he hits everything, he could be one of the victors in this lobby. But if he misses, it might be lights out.
I'm not worried. He still has 30 HP. That's plenty to work with. Okay, I'm getting a little bit worried now after the
Maybe
rules.
the part 2 is not exactly the, the all-star upgrade you're expecting at the start of this stage 5. And surprisingly, Clement, so many tempo game plans from players, not the degen kind of reroll aspect we've been seeing a lot of in the first 2 days.
Yeah, I think with the golden ticket,
Nasus.
the prismatic ticket of Setsuko changes everything. He got the Casadin, he was holding for everyone, and no one saw that angle to contesting for the 2 cost, so everyone went level 8 and they're playing tempo. This is a new type of game, so it's amazing to see.
Hong Lian facing off against Kazu. The Nasus upgrade did come through in time, but he's facing off against a very scary attack speed Kalista, red buff and pyro emblem, and the Nami. No items, no damage, cannot stop this Kassadin from doing his thing with a nod today as well, buying some extra survivability. A big win for Kazu, but still a loss for Hong Lian. And Hanxing just barely stays alive on stage 5, 3 HP to work with, which is more than enough for maybe sneaking out a placement or 2 or griefing for 1 or 2 more rounds.
Setsuko hit the Syndra 3, big moment for him, and now it's very possible that Hong Lian and Hanxing are going to go out 7-8, opening the door for a very easy win path for Vitality.
Yeah, the 2 weakest of Weibo for sure, Hong Lian and Hangli, as you were saying, Clement. So that gives a little outs. You have no more outs, you need to win. And now with this hit about Setsuko, he's the strongest in the lobby. Milk is also very stable, so they will be able to manage HP on their favor. And this looks very good for Team Vitality.
The Gwen pop-off is the big question. Her AI in stage 5 in these crazy fights starts getting a little bit all over the place in terms of where she goes. But for now, it's all about Hanxing's trying to stay alive. The Taric, the Fiora, and the Kalista, the trio of tankiness, melee bruiser, and attack carry. But the Fiora's in trouble. Can she stay alive? The stuns are coming through. She's not able to get her ult off. She just barely does, but she's still down to half health. And overall, so much CC coming through. The mana's on the rise. It's just too much damage. Hanxing taken down. Toronto, Tokyo, a big service for his team.
That was a bullet dodge by Vitality because this scoreboard scrapping has been going on the entire game. That was at least 13 rounds of fights there, but no upgrades found. And now it's Hong Lian on the chopping block.
Yeah, it's not easy to get rocks in your team, and everyone in Team Vitality is strong. Soju with the HP, Toronto getting the rise, Mil getting so much tempo, and obviously now Setsuko, who is the one who was in trouble, has hit it. So all 4 players of Vitality in a great spot.
And Hong Lian, his cap is limited. He has Tiniest Titans. He's been surviving thanks to that extra HP, but that means he's missing combat chunk on his board. He'll slowly start bleeding out, and we're seeing it why. 5 loss streak, the Karma not doing enough just yet. There just isn't enough with this Briar that doesn't have the right items for now. The front line is not quite stable enough, just missing so much. The Milio, you're maybe hoping you can do enough, but the Fiora, if she can break through this Nasus, and she does, she comes right onto the Karma, Challenger AI, and that was her job. So that's all she needed to do. Is there going to be enough damage from the Kalista ramping up with both the red buff and the Rage Blade? I think it should be enough. It's so much attack speed in the Milio. He's great utility, but he can't do it all by himself. Another elimination for Weibo Gaming. Hong Lian in 7th, and Keze, who used to be the tempo king, who used to stay so healthy, is down to 1 life.
You call it out, Clement. These are the 2 that were worse on Weibo Gaming, and now with this 7-8, they will need a 1-2. That's the only possibility for Weibo to come back from this game.
So the question is, can Weibo Gaming actually win out with Kutz's current board? He is playing with the 3 Pyro line with a lot of stacks inside, but I just don't think it's enough. He doesn't have the Castellan 3 and only sitting on 1 item with the Akali 3. Kutz doesn't look like he's going to be able to pull through, and that means if Vitality just knock him out, it's over.
And other players are getting stronger and stronger. Soju now up to level 9, finds another Preserver to slot right in alongside the Morgana, the Rakan, and the Zillion. And this board is getting tankier and tankier as we move through this game. We heard the comms there from Team Vitality. They seem very calm, not this crazy excitement or jubilation because they're in a very good spot. They're locked in, they're focused. The job's not done.
9 Kassadins on the boards of Setsuko and Soju here, so just denying any chance of the win out from Kudzu. They know if he goes down, so does Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, if someone can take out Kessie, it's Setsuko right here, but it gets to the backline immediately, so the Syndra is out. Bad news for them, so Kessie will still have a chance here, still fighting it out.
Watch the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, he got in the back. Oh!
Takes down one. I'm sure the Mordekaiser can't solo the Kassadin, or can he? Some big ults coming through. The tankiness is not quite there. His damage ramps throughout the fight, but that's going to be it. A close win for Kudzu, who takes down Setsuko to 1 life as well. And Milk eliminated in the process. Surely not. Right, Clement?
I don't think so. I still think it's a very long way to go. You know, that Sauron performance from Mordekaiser,
one away from
taking it out.
3. This could be the next spike he needs to stay not just alive, but relevant in this late game.
100% no gold now for him. He starts to wait, ramp one more. Maybe he knows the actual placement of the rest. Kassadin 2 here for Setsuko, still holding onto it. Getting the Mordekaiser, this is huge. Maybe.
Oh, do you sell though? That's the big question. Probably you do it at the very last moment here because of the power you get.
Or maybe
no.
maybe he doesn't have a face-off to understand. He goes against Soju, so he doesn't need it right now. But he needs to win. So obviously, he needs the power to avoid dying here first.
It's going to come down to this for Fiora. If she can walk into the backline, second charge goes into the correct position, but falls down to the learning to spell Syndra.
Good news for Setsuko, good news for Team Vitality. There's no team kill here just yet, and Kudzu on the flip side, it will be the Kalista mirror match at the very end. The Taric nearing Kudzu's Kalista, and the Kalista just not have enough damage. Kudzu's taken down. Weibo Gaming another elimination, and also Setsuko as well, but Kudzu takes more damage, ends up in that 5th place position. 3 players from Weibo Gaming in the bottom 4. GG in game 1. Vitality continues their streak. The Grim Reapers of this tournament do it again.
Completely undefeated so far. 5 game wins going into the tournament, and I really like their game plan. They slow the tempo down so much, not over-indexing into the reroll compositions, everyone playing tempo and just bringing it to the side of Weibo Gaming. I felt like Weibo Gaming played a little bit more greedy this time and were punished by the sort of middle-of-the-road game plan.
Yeah, Milada was just saying that in the interview, the importance of having rocks in the game that don't go 8, don't go 7, and then the rest of the game just play out. I just want to highlight also that this is one of the few times that we will see Soju like in the middle of the screen. So every chatters or viewers, moderators of Soju, please take a picture here and enjoy. We're actually seeing him in the middle, and this is so great to see. Huge completion and good bond structure.
I think instead of genius mode, we need a hero mode here because Soju, he's doing it again. The HP buffer he had, the early game, the tempo game plan using the Poppy and the Jinx and the Namzi, for example, to propel him to these heights is absolutely fantastic. We saw in the very first game against Carmine Core on day 1, similar game plan here from Soju coming out as the hero that his team needed to, again, dominate this game 1.
Full tempo, not re-rolling, you know, not folding for the Olaf like I suggested. The absolute correct move right there, and moves into this win streak position. If he can take this game home, his scoreline will be 1-2-1 in the past 3 games.
Yeah, this is solo queue gameplay also again for him, knowing that this is a couple board. Normally in the 44 you cannot do it, but because they talk about it and they knew they had tempo, so you had the chance to use that AP on his favor, go to La Mondagne, get Preservers in, and in the end, a great win here for Vitality going up against Easy. 31 lives, so you losses. This is a great win. They're happy. We see Toronto there on the left. They're already talking, enjoying themselves. As Panda, you said just now, they haven't lost. Still 1 game on this 4v4 on EWC, so the mental is still very strong for them.
And for these last few fights, just going through the motion, taking the time to maybe get some practice in when it comes to capping your board, positioning against some of the best players in the world, seeing what is working and what isn't when it comes to stage 6 fights. But more importantly than that, I think as a team, thinking through the game, what went right? Why did we get in this position? Why were we so dominant? Why did we preserve so much HP? Try and answer those questions and try and formulate that same game plan for game 2.
We saw from Weibo Gaming, they had 2 big lose streak plays coming out in the scoreboard scrapper in the Tinny Titans getting HP, but their spots were not strong enough. They actually lost plenty of HP going down, while on the other side, I felt like the high capped potential for the side of Vitality was much more grounded. They had good boards, they had Augments we didn't see that much before, but very strong given their situations and their spots, and that was the key factor in this game one.
Yeah, when we're asking the player what does it take to win a 4v4, normally what they say is we need to have in a position that we have practiced before. So obviously Vitality has practiced this tempo play, going with the win, Mill getting an augment that wasn't good to cap off the game, but giving a good 6th place, and that's the way you have to play the 4v4. So great team play, and again, very happy for Vitality in this first game. Remember, this is the best of 3, and now we are already in quarterfinals. So whoever wins this series advances directly to semifinals tomorrow.
It's just so crazy to think that Vitality has gotten here without Setsuko actually taking a first place at all. They still have more in the tank, more in reserve that they can bring out. Plenty of firepower and weapons on this squad. All 4 members going to the global champions before.
One of the big surprises for me for this game one and across a few games throughout this tournament already is the power of Callista, really. A unit that I think was forgotten about a tiny bit in the high elo in the grind the first week of the ladder, forgoed, and instead the option was given to Karma, to Fiora, to Gwen, just because of her traits really, as she fits in very cleanly with Fiora and Bard in the Preserver line. But Callista really putting a lot of work, the key unit that's winning all these fights, the back-to-front unit that's slowly killing these tanks one by one and allowing these players to win fights.
So you with a chance here to close it against Easy, and it looks like it's enough in the end, and it is.
Great game for Vitality here. Wow.
Great win again for Vitality. Soju being the hero once again for this team. Team Soju, Toronto has called it, and Team Vitality once again, they haven't lost, and you see the happiness. They're actually peaceful, good energy, and only preparing for the next game.
And now finally some timid smiles come out, but they do know this is a very strong team they're facing off against. This is quarterfinals for a reason. This is Weibo Gaming, a team who started off on the wrong foot, losing to T1 in the very first game they played, but they were also in a very strong group. These 2 teams came out of the group of death, or the 2 groups of death, I would say, Group B and C, and they're no slouches. Vitality has to focus, has to lock in. There's still 1 more game to go, and for Weibo Gaming, they still have to come back into this.
They have very designated roles. Setsi, once again, the only reroller on the team, while the rest of the team levels up and goes for a full tempo game plan. I love what we're seeing out of Vitality.
And that's going to be it for this game one. A lot more action in store for us for the game 2. Weibo Gaming needs to come back to force that game 3. Vitality wants to continue their Grim Reaper run streak. Don't go anywhere. Get some snacks, some drinks, and then come back to us in 5 minutes.
Like, also, the only thing about that game...
Holy fuck, on Bryce, top 3, baby!
Yeah, but the only thing about that game, right, is...
I'm here with Toronto, Tokyo here, getting set for the first quarterfinal of the day, up against Weibo Gaming, Team Vitality. You finished yesterday with a really strong result, booked your spot in the quarters. Are you well rested?
We are. Everybody's well rested, everybody's prepared, ready to win.
What do you make of Weibo?
Easy for us, 2-0.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How passionate are you about this tournament? It's obviously something that's completely new for TFT, the Esports World Cup. Are you treating this as serious, or even more serious than any other event?
Yeah, I mean, I played at the World Finals for TFT, and this is the exact same level. We were all in the boot camp playing 16 hours a day. Some of us were playing 20 hours a day for a while, so we went all in for this.
You're giving me very confident energy. Best of luck.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm joined by Weibo's Hong Yen as he gets set to go up onto the main stage once again here, this time for a quarterfinal. You're just coming off the back of a great victory. Do you feel great going into this game?
刚刚你们有了第一场比赛，你们赢了，然后你们是不是感觉很幸福、很开心？
对，而且上一把我们是追到一个3星5费嘛，追到一个3星5费，所以特别开心。对。
So yeah, we're very happy about the game we had just played. We're very happy about that.
Who do you think has an advantage here? You, having already played, or Vitality, having well rested since yesterday?
你们觉得你们谁有优点？你们的团队有优点，因为你们已经打了一个游戏，然后或者说 Vitality 另外一个队，你觉得哪有优点？
我觉得我们队应该会更强，但他们队也是一个劲敌嘛，因为他们队在最初的排位是打得很好的， 就他们队4个人都很强。
Maybe we have the advantage today because we already played a game. But about the other team, they're also very well known and a very good team. So I think we're going to have a good match with them.
Best of luck. Thank you.
谢谢。
Quick update from Stream B as every single quarterfinalist is now locked in. We've just seen Twisted Minds versus MSJ, and here's what happened. Twisted Minds dominated stages 3 and 4, pushing MSJ to the bottom half of the lobby. Syndra continues to dominate the meta across various builds. Twisted Minds showcased superior individual skills and strong fundamentals, and MSJ just couldn't repeat their past victory over them, suffering a convincing defeat. 60 seconds was the first player to use the Bastion Syndra variation in the tournament as well. So a lot happened, but the key takeaway here is Twisted Minds continue on.
We're back for game 2 of quarterfinal number 1 of this TFT EWC tournament. I'm still Petrus Panda, joined by Clement on my right, Rupeson on my left. And what a game, what a way it started off. Vitality still on a streak, another map win, 1-0 up now in this series, potentially 1 game away from eliminating an incredibly strong Chinese team in Weibo Gaming.
Yeah, and again, Setsuko popping it off here. Didn't have a good start going for the prismatic ticket, but Soju was the one who carried the game. Clement, he preserved so much SP, such a great win streak, and he played a tempo. It wasn't easy to achieve that, and actually that's what helped the rest of the team accomplish what they did. They were very safe.
The Augment summed up the story for Soju perfectly. Unleash the beast. That's what we're getting so far. 1-2-1 on this Soju performance. I just want to highlight again that the different team composition compared to the Chinese teams here, as they are playing with only 1 reroll player and most of the rest of them going for the 4 costs.
But the magic of that flexibility compared to teams like Z10, for example, who had a similar game plan, is that they did not all play the same exact 4 costs. There was a Karma player, there was a Fiora, Callista player, there was different frontline combinations. Soju had the Tom Kench 2 on his board, which is not common when you play down these 4 cost lines. It's usually just the Preservers and the Shapeshifters that fill that front line. It's just the Vanguards for the Syndra, for example. So all in all, each player, I think, knew exactly where to go so they don't step on each other's toes. And all 4 of them can find success in their own game plan.
I will say, I think the different 4 costs are going to be from the portal line, actually, because the rest of the 4 costs are very contested. Callista, Karma, and Nasus and Fiora. Those are the big 4 that basically are slotted into all of the 4 cost flexes.
Yeah, and all of this happens because, as we know, day 1, Syndra 3 obliterated the rest of the comps, and now on day 2, day 3, they are not doing it because they know only Setsuko had the chance, but he was very delayed on getting that Syndra because everyone was holding it. So now they need to go for those tempo lines. They need to go to those level 9, to those vertical, to those portal, to the rise, even as a possibility to be a rock for the team, and only 1 player getting the win is enough to take the series.
And for someone like Kaze, for example, on Weibo Gaming, he's been playing a lot of Kassadin. Usually, I think he's accustomed to preserving a ton of HP, to win streaking stage 3 and 4. That wasn't the case in this game. So many players held the Kassadins. Setsuko in particular was that player trying to grief most of Weibo Gaming, trying to hold their reroll units, and instead Kaze had to adapt to that, play for a more tempo-heavy multi-striker line, which was not strong enough to get that 1st or 2nd place.
That's the big change we need to see out of Weibo Gaming. They're still having 2 players reroll, and what's happening on the other side for Vitality is we're not rerolling, we're going to use that gold to hold all of your units and deny your game plan. So the question here for me is, do you want to play slower for Weibo Gaming? Match the tempo from Vitality.
Yeah, either do that or go for a more risky play, right? We were saying Honglin getting Golden Quest is a thing, going for the risk, and now we have Portal. So game number 2. If Vitality wins, they advance to semifinals. If Weibo wins, we have a game 3 on our hands.
As we saw there, the game, again, trying to, say, hey, Prismatic Party, are you guys sure you don't want this? I'll give you a second chance. Game 2, is it now the time? Weibo Gaming says, no, we don't want high variance. We want to have the control of this game, the control of our own fate, considering this could be an elimination match against Team Vitality. Elimination game, rather, considering they're 1-0 down in this series.
Most of the time, the team with the same little legends, I think, has won out. We have 4 Gwens for Weibo Gaming. What could that mean?
I mean, it's helpful in the carousel, I think, because you can actually know where you are. It's like easier to detect. That's the only thing I can assume. I didn't ask the player for this, but that's a good catch, Clement. We also saw maybe an additional knife, maybe for Apex teams and for teams from China, primarily are doing this. Teams from the Americas, teams from the MEA, I didn't saw no one doing the same. So interesting.
Yeah, Eastern tech for you right there. If you want a team play, you better get the same little legends, you know, hopefully the chibis.
And now for stage one, I think what we really need for this tournament is maybe a Syndra watch asset. Just see if there's any Syndras from any orbs. If any Syndras are getting some extra stacks already lined up. For Hongliang, he does have some great components. No Syndra just yet. And all in all, pretty even mix of units and lines being held on his bench. Portal already here for Soju, one of the best, in my opinion, tempo lines to play in stage 2 in terms of preserving HP. One of the stronger boards to play alongside things like the Galio, the Cassadin, and the Zoe. All incredible units in their own right.
It's just incredible that you have 2 early units with 3 trait tags here, and also a Gwinsu's find so early on for Soju. Probably another win streak game start for him.
Ooh, could be a Cassadin line. Has half of a, could be a QSS or
Heroic
ET
grab
as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Heroic grabback is the option. Immediately, you can make a Cassadin 2. It scales the portal trait as well, and you can get some very high tempo starts, or you can choose to play a lose streak angle instead, slam your items, and use these duplicators to maximize your chances of finding Cassadin 3
Yeah, you said it.
somewhere in stage 3.
Yeah, normally you would want to maybe go lose streak, but as you were saying, Cassadin is something that you can perfectly play tempo. So both possibilities in the line for them. And now in a little while, we can see the rest of them out. The Golem for Easy, the best goal augment, at least in solo queue. We have seen that Python maybe is the best one on 4v4 because you can funnel units to the rest of the team.
Yeah, that's definitely a very advanced strategy. On the other side for Milk, he hit flexible once again. He does maybe have a line to Mordog, I guess.
True flex player. We'll see what kind of emblems he's picked up this time around. Last time, at least for the stage 2 and 3 emblems, crazy synergy between them with that Incanter being offered in that stage 2. We also saw, as you mentioned, Support Golem, one of the strongest combat strength augments, and I saw a Keeper's pickup from Hanxing, potentially going to be trying to play for the Cassadin line as well, as we've seen so often for the tournament. So Keze getting his comp taken away.
Yeah, and Keeper is good to see because normally it's an augment that we were seeing only on Warriors or something like that, but they're using it for tempo now. So in a great spot, getting that additional defense in the beginning actually helps the Syndra scale more.
Multi-striker emblem. Cassadin is going to become Syndra this game, I think.
I feel like this is just unjustified. This opens so many lines. We've seen from Bintum as well, just 2 costs re-rolling alongside the Nila was also a very strong win out here. And also just with the emblem, you don't need to find Camille for the 7 multi-striker. Such a strong emblem to start with.
Pyro next?
Please no, please no. We want the game to be fair. Don't you guys want a game 3?
I want a game 3, of course. This is some high-level TFT. Doesn't get much better than this. The more we get, the better. But Milk maybe has different plans. As Sunfire slammed right away. Interesting to slam this onto the Cassadin of all things. Maybe relying on a remover later on in the game. Just adding the extra tank stats to the carry unit on this board for now.
Yeah, obviously a possibility of getting a remover in any moment here, but as you say, very interesting that he goes for that. And now Soju, Goparens, Toronto, both in the same team so far. Trying to maintain the win streak in the case of Toronto. Let's see if he does it.
Nah, I got this, Warwick. You got this. Nah.
There's a Nashers and a gem that has popped probably a long time ago. I think the Zillion is not Killian.
Yeah, I saw also on Hongliang, Toronto, those are the 2 that could get the win streak. No one is in a perfect win out or tempo position for the early game, but some of the people such as Milk already have a good plan, and that's what you want to see. It doesn't matter if you're already not with the highest tempo, maybe one can get it. That would be Toronto for Vitality and Hongliang. And in the lose streak, we have Kessie and Milk, and those are the ones who don't want to face each other or will want to grief the other one, maybe with an open fort, and try to go for that cap out in the later game. Milk, maybe he could not lose because he cannot sell the Cassadin, so maybe Kessie has a possibility to grief him a little.
Toronto with just such a strong board here, playing around the 2 chrono that, of course, get double the stats on that 60-second countdown. So actually a very tanky front line. If he can hold through, also has the big gem. I just really like the combination he's been coming up with.
Talking about combinations, Setsuko picking up the Pilfer. A very strong augment just in the stats, in solo play on ladder. But when you enter a team format where you can communicate with 3 of the people you're facing and saying, hey, you're playing a Vanguard frontline, can you play the Mordekaiser on this side so I can kill it first, get a Mordekaiser 2, maybe a Mordekaiser 3 in the future. It works on 4 costs as well. It's potentially the secret tech towards trying to find a 3-star 4 cost with a frontline 4 cost tank in stage 4 and 5. there's a lot of depth to this augment outside of just printing gold, which is a pretty good thing as well.
Yeah, for sure. We will for sure see it if Setsuko faces up against Milk and he has a Kassadin, he could put it in the front and give the possibility of to Milk to get that additional funnel and get the Kassadin 3 as soon as possible. Now some Honeymancer action here for Toronto Tokyo, getting additional frontline. He hasn't slammed items on the Veigar. He will use Veigar as a holder now, maybe selling the Cillian. Ari 2 here for him. Good units for the early game. Obviously, normally a scaling unit that you will use in the late game, but for now, it's a 2-cost 2-star, so great for him, yeah.
If you want your win streak, you definitely have to trust in the Ahri. Usually, I never upgrade my Ahris. I just throw her to back into the shop, but this is the spot you would want to do it for sure.
You have the Chrono still online. No Zillion now. Instead, it's the Jax and the very early Vex that has been picked up. All in all, a very unique board for Toronto Tokyo. Not something we've seen very often in this stage 2, but a great angle right now on Hansheng's Kassadin. Will it be enough? It's a great lineup. The positioning is working out completely in favor of this Ahri. The Kassadin has been taken down from the Orb of Perception, and it's now only down to the Zillion.
Honglian might be losing his streak right here. Oh, and he can't get through the Kassadin. 2-star Kassadin early on, probably the strongest unit you could have on stage 2.
He got in the middle one. He used one of the duplicators to make sure he's able to grief it. So only one duplicator left for Soju. He still has a chance to use it for the late game, but for now, he did what he must. Only now Vitality has the chance of doing a win streak in hands of Toronto Tokyo.
And a lose streak in the hands of Milk, who is that flexible player who is maybe not going to be too flexible in this game if he's given a good supporting emblem for this multi-striker line. For now, just only slam the Sunfire onto the Kassadin, so maybe indicating he wants to play more of a tempo multi-strikers alongside a Kalista, maybe a Camille in the late game.
This is just so much pressure coming in from the side of Vitality. They have great win streakers, and the loss streakers have very high caps. So I think Weibo Gaming, you know, there's just so much pressure. Honglian lost his streak right here, and a lot of their lines are not as clear-cut. Hansheng might be wanting to go for the keepers, but 3 players are already holding Kassadins.
Great news now for Vitality. Milk with the lose streak ensure, and Toronto loses. So not ideal. It's a win in the bottom side with Milk with the lose streak, getting a lot of economy and making the decision, as you say, Panda maybe going for the tempo play. But unfortunately, Toronto cannot maintain the win streak, so he will not funnel more economy or preserve HP for the rest in the later future.
5 multi-strikers online. The item components that are dropped here for Milk might tell him, hey, play for Kalista if you get a lot of bow items, maybe stick onto the multi-striker line, but if Soju with the duplicators is sticking onto this line, they don't want to contest each other. And again, it's all going to come down to the emblem he picks up off of the flexible. The moment this Krog round finishes and stage 3 starts, it can really be a decider for the entire game almost if he high rolls the right combination, or if it's just something that does not fit at all with the multi-strikers.
Please, please, let's just get something. Not Arcana, not Pyro. Okay, just not those 2. No Bastion. All right, Hunters is good. Hunters is fine. I can accept that.
Back on the menu, baby.
Yeah, let's go, let's go.
Wait, what if we mix Kog'Maw and Kassadin?
That sounds kind of terrible, to be honest.
You want a game 3?
Can try. I want a game 3.
Okay,
let's go, let's go.
Please agree with me.
I was just thinking in my head, trying to help. So the Kog'Maw
you thought I was being serious, Hoope? I'm sorry for melting your brain cells.
Too much EMEA tech, boys.
Okay, so tempo play here for Milk, trying to wait a little, and then maybe the deep roll down on 3-2 to stabilize. So for now, not a problem for him to maintain the lose streak going up against Toronto. Toronto just lose the win streak right now. Good items on the Syndra, and that generation of casting here and speed will enable Toronto to maybe be a good caster and force in the future. So a rock probably for Toronto, and Milk is the one who will have to preserve FP and go in the middle round, fighting it out and helping the rest of the team.
Toronto, again, playing a lot of those 4-cost compositions. We've seen before one of his most played was the 4-chrono flex line. Not a lot of rerolls, but a lot of tempo.
Can't really restart mission due to the emblems, of course. Going to go for the Unified Resistance instead, which will scale a lot better into stage 4 and 5 as you add more units to your board. Featherweights for Soju. He is locked in. We saw it that game 1 against Carmine Cord in day 1. The way he started off this tournament, he's trying to finish it off at least for the quarterfinals. Back on Kassadin, back on that tempo-heavy game plan. He had a 10-win streak against Carmine Cord in that game 1. If he replicates it here, Weibo's in big trouble.
Yeah.
This is when Hanxing says, "What about me?" Because he's going with his keepers, and all these multi-strikers are gone.
Syndra 2 also for Toronto here. Stabilization is the name of the game here for Vitality. They're very strong, and now we will have to see how Weibo respond. They cannot allow to give all the stage 3 to Vitality. That's what happened in the later game. They need to ramp up here, even if that means they go deep on economy and obviously spend a lot of gold and be very down on that.
Just the lines coming out for Vitality so strong. 2 multi-striker lines. Toronto obviously on the portal with the big gem Chrono as well. So just, you know, making sure there's a lot of pressure, taking away the possibility for Weibo Gaming to kind of sit and scale up or even go into a win streak onto stage 3. A lot of desperation coming out on these faces for Weibo Gaming. Taking a look at the board here. 6 Akalis, an interesting situation. Actually went for the restart mission.
Maybe restarted a bit too hard considering he's kind of going into the line of his teammate who is trying to play the Caster in a reroll with Akali, of course, as a secondary item carrier and is getting a little bit in the way of Soju as well, though he is, of course, locked into the Caster line with his current spot and his upgrades.
Yeah, and we were just seeing in the middle screen, Kessie, he's going for the Syndra, but he only had Syndra 1, 2 mana generation, I think, but that's not enough. So, once again, Weibo is not in a good position in the mid game in this stage 3. This stage 3 seems to go to Vitality, so great news here for the Americas versus Weibo. So, China in a tough position here, Clement.
Yeah, but we did just hear that Twisted Mind did advance, so, you know, at least we have one more team to cheer for.
Not over just yet. Weibo Gaming going to try and force the Game 3 carousel in Stage 3 coming up. One of the most important carousels in the game, considering that you need to find these item components to finish off the BIS for your oh-so-important reroll carry, Syndra. Of course, being one of them, Kasten as well, but we saw for Soju, all 3 items already locked in, with the Crown Guard being the last slam. For Milk going to pick up a bow here. Any item that really... Oh, there's a Syndra with a bow as well. Could be an interesting pickup. No one denies it just yet. Setsuko maybe thinking about it.
None of the key characters actually coming through on the side of Weibo Gaming. This is just looking so dire.
Wait, how does a Syndra with a bow survive a Stage 3 carousel? Did we have a patch earlier today?
No hotfix, yes. Kessie decides not to go for it. He gets it naturally, so okay. So in the end, he had the prediction. He knew that
no belt there as well, so you
Yeah.
couldn't really make the best use of that bow if it was picked up. Instead, wanted to try and go for the BIS instead of just the unit.
You don't want to
and has
static,
a
you already
Shojin.
have Shred, so you're fine.
Exactly.
Oh,
Item Collector as well. Strong augment just in terms of giving pure stats to your units.
Weibo Gaming have to roll really deep to hold off the pressure from Vitality. A lot of these boards, already 3 players from Vitality in the top 4. Their boards are very clear in terms of their direction. So I think for Weibo Gaming, the bottom needs to survive and Hongye needs to win out. Late game specialist already selected with slamming. If he gets a great level 9 roll down, then maybe there's hope.
Yeah, that will be the out for them. He will need to preserve. He's in a good spot in terms of HP, getting a good tempo in, but as you say, Clement, he needs to get to level 9, and it won't be easy. And if he goes to level 9, he will not be able to help the team until he gets there. So actually, that will be like an idle spot for the rest of the team. They will have to preserve on their own without the help of Honglian, and then he will try to be the hero. So the funneling of resources has to be for him.
And Soju, you know, you heard Malala say that it comes down to Milk and Setsuko doing well. They were the cornerstone, the rocks of this team. He said, you know what? I'm going to pop off. In the driver's seat once again in this game, too. He took that personally. He's been called an influencer before, but we can see here why he absolutely is not. When he's locked in, he's an unstoppable entity. Another massive win streak to preserve so much HP for his team in this game, too.
I like what Milk is doing here. Actually not trying to roll even once for the Kasten 2 or try to stabilize his board. Full loss streak into the 4-2, keeping his options open. We'll see what this PvE round brings here. But he still has some good win-out potentials here. He has another emblem to look forward to. And he's also just holding down Hanxing on the other side.
I think it makes sense to hold out all your gold for this massive rollout until you have the full information of what your emblem is. It's just so awkward to roll a lot of gold and then have a complete different direction opened up for you from that flexible
Yeah, and now this will be the round that will decide the rest of the game. For now, Vitality obviously in a dominating position, and now it will be the roll down for the rest. Who will stabilize, who will get the epics that they want? Will Honglian get to level 9 in time? Maybe 4 or 5 could be maybe the moment where he will do that transition, Clement. Let's see if it's enough. The rest of the team will have to hold until they get there.
I want to see if any of the Vitality players holds on to a Diana, because there's a Diana pair on Setsuko with Pilfered here. If he can get that 2-star in, that stage 4 is going to be nasty.
Milk picks up what seemed like Encanter, if I saw that correctly. The roll down has commenced.
Oh, and there it is. The Diana 2 for Setsuko.
Diana 2 has been found.
You call it,
can you relax, buddy? We're trying to see a game 3 here.
I said he had to use Pilfered. I didn't know he was going to natural it. That's not on me, okay?
All right, Clement, this is your last cast of the tournament, buddy. You're too powerful. You're moving into the developer team instead with Mortdog.
Am I going back on the same plane as maybe Weibo Gaming here? This is going to be so rough for them.
A lot of items that have to be slammed here for Milk. He has found the Fiora. He can start loading her up with the right offensive items to become the carry throughout this stage 4.
Eyes on the Fiora here. Remember, Fiora has access to the byline, 3 spots she can go. So normally you want to have her in the other side of the carry so that she goes to the center and close to the carry and then go to the back. In this case, it is enough. The Fiora takes the win in Cantors here for Milk, taking a good chunk of HP out of Kessie.
Kessie still hasn't rolled down yet, sitting on full gold, but only 5 copies of the Syndra.
Ooh, Radiant Refractor, very strong augment, but Prismatic Augment's going to elevate the tempo of this game, going to add quite a lot of variance in terms of what the high rolls and the low rolls might be for these players. Call to Chaos, definitely a lot of variance there. New Recruit could offer some stability with a duplicator.
Oh, Chaos?
It will be the Call to Chaos. And we get 2 Lockets to help Kassadin out.
Amazing.
What's an absolute synergistic high roll here in terms of working similarly to Duelist in the last set, where you want this shielding on your team so that the Kassadin can start ramping up the Rage Blade.
And he's hit Kassadin 3. He has a Nico right there, instantly hitting it, putting full pressure on. We see the boards from Vitality from the side of Weibo Gaming not really hitting their stride so far. So the game plan is clear. Full court bench press. There we go.
The only unfortunate thing for me, I would say, is that there was a loss right before this passive spike came through, so there isn't that win streak still going on for Soju.
Yeah, even though a dominant in every spot here for Vitality, they're totally favored here, so we will need to see something crazy here. Still, Hong Lian hasn't gone to that level 9 to do the ramp up, but as we know, it's very difficult now in this meta to ramp up. You need either Preserver, either Arcana, or a lot of legendaries to stabilize on level 9. There's not enough coal, enough resources to do that, so a dire spot here. Hong Lian might not be enough here to take it for Weibo.
I just think this is comes down to strategy. Weibo Gaming sticking to 2 rerollers. Hansing unfortunately getting naturally contested multiple ways, just not really hitting the rolls. Even his teammate EZ going into his line.
And what a unique line from EZ. He seems to be rerolling Shen and Katarina of all things. 5 copies right now. Have you seen this at all this set, Clement?
No, first time. First time the charm, maybe.
Interesting combination of items as well. The Sterax, the Crown Guard, and the Rage Blade on Katarina. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe there is a new meta on the horizon if this Katarina comp can rise up in this stage 4.
Yeah, we think about it, this seems like a position to not go 8th. That's the only thing I can think of. Obviously, maintaining tempo with the Goblin and making sure that he had the combat augment and doesn't lose and doesn't give that spot. So actually, very difficult. I personally don't like it.
Minor mistake, I would say. A massive shroud in the middle of the board. I think Kazi should communicate to his team, hey, I'm shrouding the middle, try and create a bit of a gap. Of course, it really depends on the positioning for the other players, but all in all, a little optimization that could see a loss here for a player who needs to maybe become the hero for this Weibo Gaming team.
Hansing actually hitting his stride here. 5 win streak. Even though he has no chance to really hit the Kassadin 3, he's still going to be playing tempo. So the question is, where are the win outs coming here? Only Honglin is not enough. They need a second player that has a potential to win out. If you have 2, then anything else is fine. Like, the rest of the players can go 7 and 8.
Yeah, Kessie holding the Camille, griefing it there for Milk, making sure he doesn't go to the vertical of multi-target even more. And now the rest of the units here for the components. So you once again, let's see the lower table, very stable with the Kassadin 3. Hansing, the one who needs to pop out, already has a Briar, has the Tankenge, can go for the Arcana, but for now, still only with Kalista 1 as a carry.
And all eyes on this middle pack of players from 40 to 47 HP. 7 HP separating all these players. The next few fights in the start of stage 5 can already start knocking out a few of them. The order in which they get knocked out will ask more or less of those hero players. Do you need to get a first or a second? Is it a first or a fourth? And with some of the spots, some combinations might not be even possible in terms of the projection.
Toronto and Soju already with the 3 stars over their opposite components here. The 2-star Kasten and the 2-star Syndra on the side of Kudzu. So neither of those players really have win-out potential against their opponents.
Better communication there. The Shroud up the middle only hits one unit, the left side clump instead.
Yeah, for sure. And Hansi, we see the rest of the comp now. Good tempo comp to get here, but actually not getting the ramp up, not getting the Kalista. He doesn't even have the pair, so it will actually be very difficult for him. Maybe he will do some transition, but even though he's winning here, he's taking a chunk of HP here for Kesa. Lose streak, and now Soju here, Toronto loses us against Milk, and once again with Easy. Let's see if he gets the Katarina, and maybe he'll surprise. So I want him to surprise us, but he needs to hit. Even though he's playing uncontested units, at least in the Katarina, he's not hitting. He's not getting the power spike that he would like, at least for this creative comp.
I will say right away, this is the most surprising comp of the tournament for me. It was not on my bingo sheet to see Katarina reroll no matter what the circumstances, but there must be something I don't know, or the pressure must really be getting to Weibo Gaming where they're trying to find any chance to elevate their board to find a game plan that has not already been contested when it comes to rerolling.
Since they only have 1 win-out player, their most likely game plan is to send the other 3 Vitality players in the bottom 4. If they can take out Milk, Toronto, and Setsuko, that's what they need to do.
With the Katarina onto the Karma, the Chrono comes through the time stop. Will it be enough?
Oh,
Karma's
she went to the other side.
Time. The Archangel is stacking, but it's not enough time. The Katarina, the Akali, the new reroll setup is good enough for now for the stage 4. We now enter stage 5 though, and the pressure will start increasing for all of our bottom 4 players.
And that's not good news again for Weibo. That's a comp that hasn't ramped up. He doesn't have 3-star, and he's winning against his teammates. So the power, the strength, the possibilities here now. Finally, the cash out for Honglian. Let's see if it's enough. He will wait here a little, trying to roll, getting some value rolling here, and then trying to ramp up. He needs the Karma too. He will need additional legendaries to ramp up. There's the Camille.
I think he knows he wants to have first pick on a lot of these 5 costs, rolling a little bit of gold, making sure he has the APM to continue rolling the end of the gold, and finalize all his items as well before losing any more fights.
For Chrono and Preserver, this is one of the highest cap compositions that you can play in this game. Also great synergy with the extra Randuins, gifting 50 extra armor and resistances across the team. He just needs to find these legendary 2 stars.
Honglian is the player who maybe is going to have to take that role of a hero. Diana, pair has been found. Diana 2 would be big. Rakan 2 is big. Nasus 2, big frontline upgrades. One off of the Diana finds a Taric instead. If he can fit both the Diana and the Taric for the Bastion, that would be absolutely massive. He has for now. Morgana comes back in for the Preserver instead until the Diana 2 comes through. Only Morgana, no pair. And now all the items have to go down because he's facing off against Toronto Tokyo, and he has to beat Vitality. He has to chip away at their HP.
Milk has a dragon. Be careful. Milk has a dragon. That's your favorite of
one of the strongest combat charms in the game. And he's up against one of the strongest units in the game. Syndra with the Radiant Morello. Will it be enough? The Dragon's on the left, the Syndra's still untouched on the right-hand side, but they're all coming for her now. She can't cast in time. A massive loss for Kaze. Uh-oh, Weibo Gaming is in big trouble, and Milk stays alive.
I will say that was a really good win for Honglian. There they got the Karma skill onto the Syndra 3 in the backline, and instant snipe out with the Camille 2, so didn't take much damage, dealt a lot by himself.
Sure, and once again here on the right, we're seeing Setsuko with the Rise. Tempo Rise here, also trying to preserve FP. The Nora habilitating the rest of the lobby, and then Diana 2, that will be will give him so much time and to win and waiting. Hansin, he's the one who has to win out for Weibo. His spot is not amazing, but he can still ramp up now on level 9.
Potentially 4 players on their last life from easy down, 16 HP. We're in stage 5, a big enough loss that could be it. Setsuko watching, posturing, aura, looking at Easy, thinking, do you have enough damage to chew through my board? The answer seems like it's no. The Randuins offering so much stability.
Easy's out. Easy's out.
Big win. Honglian, the Archangel is still stacking on the Karma. We're looking at the right-hand side, the Syndra. She's not going to be able to do it by herself. The Karma is going to be enough, but that means there's going to be a team kill here on the right.
CC in the end there for the Nami, and Honglian takes it. So one more life, but Easy is the one who goes out. Kesi again, so the 8th and 7th. Now they need a 1-2. Clement, this is dire position for Weibo. Vitality in a perfect spot to take the series here in a 2-0.
Yeah, and they really have nothing to worry about. Hanxing has no cap potential here. He can't hit his 3 stars because of how many copies are out of the pool with the Kassadin. We knew that at the start. Very sad to see that Katarina 3 not even scratch through the portal shields at all. Only one reset that fight.
And Milk, despite being low in the HP, the hero for Vitality, staying alive these last 2 fights, allowing the 7th and 8th positions to be filled up by Weibo Gaming players. And now it's Honglian, who is on 14 HP, yes, but is also incredibly strong thanks to that level 9 push, to all the upgrades he's picked up onto the Karma, the Diana as well. The Chrono comes through. The Kassadin is trying to push his way onto the Karma, but there's just too much to chew through, too much utility with Emilio as well.
Once again, there the Kalista alone here, so Soju takes the loss. Honglian still keep it alive for Weibo Gaming, but remember they need the 1-2, so they only need one more team member of Weibo to go either 3rd, 4th, or 5th, and that will be enough for Vitality.
If Setsi hangs on and makes the final rounds, then that's all they need. So Setsuko, he is the carry here. Even if the fight rotation favors Weibo Gaming massively, letting Honglian knock out the other 2 players, Setsi is the one that has all the eyes on him.
So maybe the chance for a warping emblem to add some variance, to add some extra amount of cap to some of the players, but that's not the case on the Stage 5 carousel. Overall, just finished regular items that will not impact these boards as much. Setsuko, we're seeing here, has a Taric main tank with only that singular gargle, so still has a chance to get a little bit stronger if he reaches that PvE round, but the Randuin's combination is adding so much survivability to this entire team, and took a rise as a carry. We talked about utilizing these underused forecasts.
Yeah, it works. It works for Tempo. It's exactly what they needed here, pressuring the lobby, and now he goes against Soju. So they're both okay. They shouldn't lose, and now Honglia. And this is what we want to see. Honglia going up against, ramping up there for Hansi. This is not what they wanted to see. Hansi has the chance here to eliminate his own team partner. We don't see him more weak, so maybe the ramp of the preparation was the rest. Is this enough for them? Will they eliminate themselves?
Camille's online. She's on the background. She's onto the Kalista. The Kalista can take out the Camille. That would be big, but I think it's not going to be enough. The Camille wins. Both Weibo Gaming players stay alive, which is the mission right now. They need to finish 1st and 2nd to force a Game 3 to stay alive in this TFT EWC 4v4 tournament.
Anything can happen. We've seen this exact spot with Toronto Ultra desperately coming out, and I think Honglian does have a higher cap over Setsuko. Setsuko with this Rise line, doesn't really have the same combat power, but the issue is, can Hanxing stay in the ring?
Exactly. Honglian has the better position to go for 5. Hanxing 3 lose streak, so he doesn't look to be stable right now. So there will be the important spot. Hanxing on the right, going up against Setsuko. Setsuko also lost the previous round. Panda, is it enough to win against Hanxing?
The battle of the multi-strikers, the battle of the Kassadins and the Kalistas in the back. The one Kassadin is already moving up. It could be a 1v1. Soju's Kassadin is going low. The Crown Guard shield has expired. And already Soju's Kassadin is down. The Xerath adding his own damage coming through. Massive win for Hanxing. Soju has been taken down. It's just Toronto, Tokyo, and Setsuko left alive.
Honglian is in trouble.
He's out. Honglian's
out. They got it.
Vitality with the 2-0 win over Weibo Gaming. They continue the win streak, 6 games in a row in an incredibly tough tournament, facing off against incredibly tough competition. But the Grim Reaper from North America cannot be stopped.
First time we see Setsuko smiling here, Clement, once again for Vitality. So great to see. They have been so serious throughout the whole series, and now finally Sun Smile. They're performing amazing. This team can take it all on the 4v4 on EWC.
What an amazing journey. We've been scrimming this team since 2 months ago. They were keyed in. They knew that for set 11, a lot of them weren't going to make it to the Global Championship. So they dialed in, made sure that this was their tournament, and they're here to take it further.
And the relay race when it comes to who was the hero in this game. First, Soju playing that tempo game plan with the Kassadin, using the duplicator early, analyzing his spots, seeing I have a great tempo slam, I have a great early start for Kassadin, I'm playing for the duplicator, a low cap augment but then he passes on the baton to Setsuko. Now you're the strongest. Now you stay healthy. Preserve your HP. Get that 6-win streak in the late game that will knock out one of the key players, and that has been the case here. Setsuko, you mentioned he hasn't won a game yet. Maybe this is the one.
Finally, someone else to carry the burden here. And I just want to mention about this portal board that a lot of the North American teams have been playing. It is so efficient when you have other players rolling down for Warrior Preservers, contesting on the big 4 costs that we're talking about. Suddenly the Ryze, the Nora, the Taric, they all seem like free characters that you can throw into your mix. Very efficient game strategy and composition from the North American teams.
Yeah, several ways to win it here, and finally Toronto getting the Syndra, the rest of the lobby, or the friends, the partners of here for Vitality gaining additional tempo and finally closing out here the final comp, and amazing for them. We see the split here, and Panda, Vitality's happy, the Americas are happy.
And you know Setsuko has had a dominant game of TFT if he's level 10 in set 12. Usually this is an incorrect play. It's too important to roll for combat charms. It's too important to roll for all of your upgrades. But Setsuko has checked off all of those boxes. He's made it to 10. He's built an incredibly strong board with great synergies with that support item especially.
So much pressure coming out from Vitality. I just love their game plans. They had much more clarity in their early games where each person was going to go, and they also just beat out their oppositions in terms of the reroll. Syndra 3 getting online for Toronto. Soju also getting the Kassadin 3 as well. Just meant that the other team couldn't catch up.
Dominant last win here from Setsuko. And I do want to give major props to Weibo Gaming. I think they played a fantastic tournament. They had incredibly strong competition. T1 into Fnatic, into Z10, into Vitality, some of the strongest teams in this tournament. And Hanching as well gave us, I think, a wonderful game where he played a very creative TFT, re-rolling Katarina to find any smidge of power to stay healthy and preserve HP in stage 4.
And it was working, even though he didn't re-roll. There's something there. That's something we all need to try also on our ranks game to have the possibility. And once again, Hongling from Weibo, he played Golden Quest in previous round. Amazing gameplay. Couldn't go for the risky play in this place, trying to go for level 9 and getting the out there. And obviously Hongling, the hero for this team, couldn't perform. He didn't get the spot, Clement. It wasn't that he played bad by any means. Simply the spot wasn't there. They played as a team and they lose like a team.
Yeah, unfortunately, unable to keep a pace in the early game for Weibo Gaming, I think, was the big problem coming into both of these games. Very early blowout indications in both of these games that we've seen so far. I think the planning from Vitality, the general composition to go a little bit slower than these Chinese competitors, working out for them.
And all in all, a quiet game from Toronto Tokyo, but really the giant Mighty as his last combat strength augment put him right back into the game, especially alongside the first support item he picked up, the gem. Once you have the extra HP to scale your board into later stages of the fight, that ascension effect comes through, and this